Well, welcome back, everybody, to the CHEK blog, the CHEK blog UK edition. If you didn't know, I'm currently in Glasgow, and I'm here with Warren, who's in London. So we're doing a little bit of a UK thing today. How are you, Warren?
I'm good. I just thought the best thing to do to clarify for those Americans who just think England is one place, Glasgow is in Scotland. So let's clarify that.
That's right. I thought I was trying to be careful to say the UK, right? Not England, which
Yeah,
I've been
exactly.
sort of
Yeah, 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 yeah.
abused, right? I'll get beat up for saying England, right? But yes, so and we're at opposite ends pretty much of the
Mhm.
island right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad to have you back, Warren, and you've got I think, a really important message today for our students, and you're going to talk to us about the burden of responsibility for every CHEK practitioner. So what do you mean by the burden of responsibility?
Well, James, obviously we both just, attended Paul Check's four quadrant coaching
Right.
um, in Oxfordshire recently, and just listening to Paul talking about the information that we have as practitioners, there is a burden of responsibility in the awareness that we have gained over the years of being students of Paul, as well as our own experiences of life as we self-develop. And the more there's a saying, those who know teach.
Mm.
And the more you know, there's a great burden of responsibility for you to be able to convey that message back to people in and around your circle. Because as we know, there are no accidents, and everyone in your circle, whether they're in your circle for a moment or a lifetime, they've been drawn to you, and you have an ability to be able to convey some truth. And the more you know, the more you must convey. So when you look at responsibility, when you break it down, it's the ability to respond. So you kind of flip the word backwards: responsibility, ability to respond. And it's the ability to respond to any and all situations in and around your circle, whether it's people that come directly into your path as clients, or people that are around you, such as when you're in a gym as a CHEK practitioner, and you are seeing personal trainers training clients doing dangerous exercises that will damage the people they are working with. If you are a practitioner and you could help to educate that personal trainer, then rather than, well, I'm not going to say anything to that personal trainer because I could effectively get that client one day,
Yeah.
looking at the bigger picture and saying, okay, how can I help that personal trainer to give better instruction to their client so they don't get injured? And that's a massive responsibility on us to know so much. We spoke off air, and we were talking about how Paul talks a lot about a lot of these CHEK practitioners are becoming more authentic and kind of embracing the full journey rather than, as you said earlier, not being a body mechanic. And I remember when we did CHEK level 4, and Paul said to us, you've got a vertical line and a horizontal line when it comes to your growth. And so many people are exploring this horizontal line where you dissect and dissect and dissect the physical to such a degree that every muscle, every innovation, every origin, every insertion of every pathway of the musculoskeletal system. But you're a great mechanic of the physical structure. But what about the self-development of the person? So Paul was saying to us, no, it's not about the horizontal line. It's about the vertical line, where you've learned enough of life's lessons, where you start to grow and evolve your practice to the point where you are no longer working just on the surface of the clientele, but you're working on what drives the clientele. Obviously, we've done these blogs before. I have this phrase where I talk about the software and hardware.
Right. Right. Yeah.
For those who haven't heard that before, when I refer to the hardware, I'm talking about the physical structures of the body, which is like what you said off camera, which is the body mechanics. But when we're talking about the software, we're talking about what drives the computer, which is the emotions, the psyche, the personality, and all these things that are so much more important that animate the body. So once you go on that vertical line and you start to grow and evolve, and you have your own personal demons that you have to face and your own personal struggles, such as, most CHEK practitioners have gone through some form of physical dysfunction, myself included, where you've had physical pain or structural imbalance, or you've blown a disc in your back, and, you face your own mortality. These things, once you get past them, make you even better coach, because now you become more empathetic to what other people are going through. So then you have your burden is increased by your own personal demons and your own experiences and your own challenges. And once those burdens have been placed on you and you've gotten through it, then you have a greater responsibility of that burden of information to then pass that information that you've learned from your own challenges onto the people, not just as clients, but people in and around your circle and people in your life. So, when Paul talks about the I, we, and all, so the I would be your own personal burdens, your own personal challenges. But once you've come through those, then you now have the burden of responsibility to now express that to your we circles. And, when we talk about we circles, it could be you and another. So you and your partner, your mother, your someone that's a close family relative. And then you have the burden to expand that information outwardly to all, which is in a forum such as what we're doing now, such as teaching to hundreds or thousands of people that we are going to interact with right now on YouTube through you putting this on the internet. So that's now an all relationship where we're getting that information out. So in that respect, I have a responsibility to make sure I know enough about what I'm saying so that I'm responsible enough for the words that I convey, because it's being now passed to a broader spectrum.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting, when Paul spoke about, you can't lead too far ahead of other people. And, so we have another burden when it comes to our knowledge. The more you know, the more simplistic you must allow that information to be conveyed. So he was like saying, in terms of development, if you're more than one chakra ahead of the client in your development, you may lose them because you're too far ahead. So that's why, going back to what we've spoken about before and what Paul has said, is your information has to be so clear that an 8-year-old can understand it. So there's another burden where, as CHEK practitioners, we're obsessed typically about learning as much as we can to the point where we're so intellectualized. And then we can lose people. So we have the burden of knowing enough, but learning life's lessons to make things simple enough. We can teach it to every single person. That's another responsibility. Knowing enough, but making it clear enough that everyone can follow us. Because if you lose someone, what's the point of knowing what you know? So I think that's really important. And, also being able to see the lie in and around your circle. Like when you see that there is a lie manifest in and around your circle, then you have the burden of making sure you address that lie. Whether or not you see a family member, such as this example, we all have it. We all have family members that are struggling with some form of ailment. They won't listen to us because we're not a doctor. We're a white coat. We don't have a button and a badge. We don't have a clipboard and all that sort of stuff. So they won't listen to us. So there's a massive burden of responsibility on for us finding a way that we can convey that information to those family members that don't want to listen to us. So whether or not it means we have to study more, we have to use a language that they can understand, we have to refer them to people that we really wouldn't normally do that because we want that information to come from us. We have the responsibility of making sure that we find a way to get through to our family members, and as honestly and as openly as possible, whether it's through using non-violent communication, through using highly intellectual language. If someone in our family can only understand something if we're incredibly intelligent with it, or make it very simple, as we said. If somebody says, I don't understand what you're saying, it's too technological for me, we have this massive burden of being able to convey this truth pretty much to any and all people in every single situation around us. There's another burden when it comes to CHEK practitioners, such as working at a gym. And what I found with talking to a lot of CHEK practitioners that I know, a lot of them, they do exercise coach or level 1. And what they're doing, which for me I find very, very bad, is that they're training the clients the way the client wants to be trained. So you become a glorified personal trainer with a few tricks up your sleeve, such as all these fancy exercises that you can do in a Swiss ball. But these clients need so much more than that.
Right.
You know, I always say to people, people come to me, let's say a person comes to me with back pain, and that's what driven them to me, but I know that's not what they need. The back pain was what was the thing that kind of, and it gave them the motivation to come and see me,
Yeah.
but I know they came to me to learn life lessons.
Yeah.
And the pain was just something that brought them to me in the first place. So once I start addressing their pain, I, you know, start to realize quickly that there's more than that, because everybody comes to us with something else.
Yeah.
You know, what's the back pain stopping you from? What gave you the back pain? Was it the universe sending you a sign that, look, you're not going to do anything about addressing this emotional issue in your life, so I'm going to give you some back pain so you can go and see Warren. And he address the back pain, but then he's also going to teach you life's lessons.
Yeah.
He's going to teach you about your emotional blockages, your roadblocks, whether it was a first chakra issue which gave you the back pain, which would be safety and security, or if there's a rhythm and flow issue, like such as your life is going at too fast a pace, and that's why you've got back pain. So I'm going to send you to Warren, let him deal with that. We have this burden to go past what the client has initially come to us for and to give them more.
Yeah, yeah. I think Paul has a saying, give them what they want so they get what they need, right? So there's a way to connect those things that they want with the things that, as you said, they ultimately need to resolve the deeper parts, the deeper causes of the challenges that they're facing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's definitely so apt because you know, there's a lot of these CHEK practitioners, like we said, that are just training people, and like I said, I know quite a few of them where their client says, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to get a six-pack, or I want to get stronger. And you know that the client needs some HLC coaching. They need to work on their emotions. They need to work on their lifestyle, their diet, and their sleep patterns, but they're not being addressed. And, you know, a lot of practitioners aren't doing assessments because they're saying, well, and, you know, some of these people have said this to me, well, I can't do an assessment because my client will go to somebody else. Because my clients have said to me, why should I do an assessment with you when I can go to that personal trainer and start training straight away? And I understand that from a business point of view. It's like, well, if you pay for 10 hours with me, you're going to get 10 hours of coaching, you know, the personal trainer.
Yeah.
But if I go to a CHEK practitioner and I pay for 10 hours of you, I've got 8 hours of assessment before I even can start training with you.
Yeah.
So a lot of these practitioners are like, well, okay, I'll just train you. So I'm giving you what you want rather than need. And that means that when we talk about the archetypes, the symbols of characteristics of the stories in our lives, we are becoming the prostitute. So we're prostituting ourselves because we're working for money rather than working for the goal of the client, which means there isn't a conversion of energy. And, you know, as we say, energy is currency, and currency in an energetic term is, you know, symbiotic. So the client comes to you and they give you money energy to support your dream, and you give them health, vitality, and wellness energy to support their life.
Right.
And that is the transformation of energy exchange. But when you prostitute yourself and you only work for money, the client is giving you the same amount of money, but what you're giving them back is a lie. Because you know they need more. So there's the responsibility within you to know that I know this client needs more than what I'm giving them, but I'm afraid because I'm focused on the prostitute element, which is I'm working for money because they'll go to somebody else. I always say if they're going to somebody else because they don't value what you're trying to give them, then they shouldn't be with you anyway.
That's right. Yeah. And so this is the question that occurs to me, right? Especially for students who are earlier in their education, you know, how do you get to the point where you can say no, right? That you can let go of a client and perhaps let go a little bit of that prostitute archetype, right?
Yeah.
Because you know it's not going to work. It's not a fit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going back to Paul's quotes, you know, and I love that saying where he says, your yes has no value until you learn to say no.
Yes.
And some people think, what does that mean? But if you're saying, in this example, if you're prostituting yourself, that means you are saying yes. And there's no value, because what you should be saying is no. And if you say no, the person will say, well, why are you not accepting my money? And no gives you power, because now you can explain why. So once you say, no, I can't work with you that way, first of all, you're supporting your core values because you're being true to yourself.
Right.
And then when you say no, the no invites the question. And the question is, well, why? And then you're supposed to, as the CHEK practitioner with the responsibility, say, well, you need more than physical training. What do you mean? Okay, that provokes more intellect and more intuition and more honor. And then you say, okay, well, the reason why is because I know that looking at your skin, that you've definitely got some detoxification issues. You may have parasites or fungi. We need to address those things. Why? Because they're going to impede your physical training. Why? Because your organs are now working against your muscles, so you're not going to get the same amount of, vitality you could get from exercise. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So this allows you to be authentic and to be able to be responsible enough to convey whatever truth. The other thing when it comes to relating to that is we have to understand that we are the anchor for our clients, or the antenna. When I say the anchor, we all know what an anchor does. It kind of keeps things rooted. A lot of our clients, as we know, live in the world or in the matrix. They're tired and wired. They're drinking and living off coffee every single day. They're constantly stressed. They're constantly angry, fatigued, stressed, angry, fatigued, stressed, angry, and it continues, recycles itself. Then they come to us and we make them more tired because we're prostituting ourselves by giving them what they want, which is, I just want to train, I want to feel the buzz. But they're already in adrenal stage 1 or 2. So we're helping them further their adrenal stage 1 or 2. So we're further prostituting ourselves and we're further going against our core values, which doesn't help us because we're no longer being responsible. So there's a greater burden on us to know the truth, acknowledge that truth, teach that truth. Yeah. So, when Paul talks about this caregiver archetype, he talks about being on the tightrope. And then, he talks about this metaphor of valuing what you're supposed to teach your client and giving enough of yourself to be present enough to be able to convey your truth. And knowing this thing that the caregiver constantly gives so much to themselves that they don't actually honor themselves. There's another responsibility of not making sure you give too much of yourself. So that's another burden of the CHEK practitioner, knowing what the client needs, being honest enough to speak the truth of what the client needs, not what they want or what they think they need. And then the next burden is making sure that you only give what you feel you can give for your clients. So always being present enough so that you're giving quality to your clients. So then in that respect, that means that if you feel you're not earning enough and you're burning yourself out and you don't want to, then the next thing you need to do is raise your rates but improve your service. So you give higher value to your service, that the energy exchange is true. That means the compliance is better. And that means the only people that are coming to work with you are the ones that feel that they truly value the service you're giving them. And then because they're valuing the service you give them, the reciprocal is that you will give back authentically what you should because you feel that you're charging exactly what you want. So that itself kind of forces you into that group of elite athletes, elite clientele, elite practitioners that are doing exactly what they want at the level they want, being authentic, honoring themselves, and no longer needing to worry about the burden of responsibility because they're living the path that they should. Which opens you up to become your own, participating in your own truth.
Yeah, and that's great, and I really love the way that you put that because I like the way that you put that there's this positive spin to saying no, right? That it's an opportunity for a further conversation with your clients to help them to understand what it is that they need and what it is that you can do. And at the same time, as it very rightly put, that you want to find clients that that you can work with. Right? This is the key to building up a long-standing clientele rather than sort of being on that treadmill, right? Of having a client for a few sessions, they sort of fade away, and then you have to go back and find more clients, right? It's that treadmill. And so saying no is a way to get off that treadmill and to find yourself clients, like you said, that are on that same journey with you.
Yeah, I think that's so apt, like what you just said. That just kind of summarizes it in a nutshell. Like we're so scared of, a lot of the times CHEK practitioners are chasing clients. And just running around, like you said, and just treadmill, chasing clients, and they're just willing to do whatever they need to keep the client happy. But you're no longer the teacher. And I remember when Paul said, there's one teacher and one student, and if you can't figure it out, the teacher's the one who's receiving the money. And that's the thing as well. Once you know so much, and that's the thing, CHEK practitioners, we both know this,
Yeah.
know so much. And when you're only given a fraction of what you know,
Yeah.
you're living a lie.
Yeah.
That means you are the prostitute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And practitioners are so good. And then there is a challenge where there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a good amount of practitioners that are struggling financially in this climate, simply because of the fact that they feel that they are competing against personal trainers. And the people that are competing against the personal trainers, the clientele don't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, you're a personal trainer with tricks and you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I always say to practitioners, first of all, stop saying that you're a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Stop saying that you're a personal trainer. Don't even use that word. And I remember one time, probably about a year ago, a guy that I trained probably about 12 years ago, he contacted me and he sent me a text, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm interested in training with you again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. What's it? What? How's it work and stuff?" I goes, "I'm not a trainer.
Yeah.
That's not what I do." And then he said, "Yeah, I would like to work with you." And he said, his personal trainer charged, I don't know, something like £25 an hour or something like that. And
Right.
and then, well, I was like, well, my rates are far higher than that. I said, probably 5 times at least higher than that. And he goes, "Oh, well, but my trainer charges this." And I said, "Well, I'm not a trainer.
Yes, that's
No,
right.
I'm not a trainer. I don't do that. If you want someone just to stand over you and shout,
Mm-hmm.
go and get a motivator.
Yeah.
But if you want someone to actually address what's going on, because like I said at the start, everyone's got more problems than they say, especially
Yeah.
men that are so afraid to express themselves.
Yeah.
So if you want someone to actually deal with the true problems that you've actually come to me with, then I can help with that. And that way I'm empowering myself to be totally honest and true. And once you do that, you're going to draw to you the only people that you should be working with anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's symbiotic, as I said, and you're being totally true. And therefore you can be alleviated of the burden because you can express everything you know the client needs.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we work with clients that they don't want to hear about exercise. They don't want to hear about meditation. Not exercise, sorry. They don't want to hear about meditation. They don't want to hear about diet. They don't want to hear about parasites.
Mm.
They just want to train.
Yeah.
And therefore, you're shifted back. The mirror reflects, the mirror reflects exactly what it sees. So what you're reflecting with when you see a CHEK practitioner that's not successful is the fact that you're fragmenting your success by being unauthentic, by drawing to you clients that you know aren't worthy of working with you because they only want to work in one specific pathway. And you know that you're being hampered. So what you're reflecting is exactly what you're reflecting.
Yeah.
Which is an inability to have a successful practice.
Yeah.
So once you alleviate this burden of responsibility, you only draw to you those that are willing to learn what you really have to teach. And therefore, the universe is in synchronicity and flow.
Yeah.
Once you're in synchronicity and flow, then you are, like Paul says, when you are working against the universe, it takes so much more energy, such as somebody who's in denial.
Yeah.
It takes so much energy to be in denial. You have to create the fabrication every single day because the universe always shows you possibility.
Yeah.
And every single day you have to say, nope, that's not right. And it's like you're just holding up a pillar. You're holding up the pillar of denial. No, 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 no. No. Every single thing around you is beauty. And you say, nope, that tree's not beautiful. Nope, the bees aren't beautiful. Nope, that person didn't smile. It takes so much more energy to be angry than it does to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So once you alleviate the lie and just draw to you by being able to be authentic, your practice thrives and you're in flow. So I just think, that's kind of the message I wanted to just say is like, let's just stop, participating in this school of lies. Let's not go further into denial, because the more you grow, the more you evolve, the more higher your burden of responsibility. The higher the burden of responsibility, the universe sends you what you need anyway. It sends you, if you're really good at cancer, the universe sends you, helping people with cancer. And then as you grow and you get more confidence, the universe sends you more and more difficult cases. So as you get more and more difficult cases, you get clientele that need to stay with you longer because the process to heal them is even deeper.
Yeah.
So you don't, like you say, you don't get 6-week clients. You get 5-year clients. I've had some clients for 8 to 10 years
Wow.
that I've taken so many things to, and I've learned so many things from.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful exchange.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Gosh, I think that's the perfect place to end.
Yeah,
I think, period.
yeah,
That was fantastic, Warren. Thank you so much. And I think it's really valuable for us to go and just talk about what it means to be a CHEK practitioner now and then,
yeah,
and to kind of
yeah,
just recall what it's all about. So
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm so grateful to, again, once again, to be sharing with the great James Bell.
Well, likewise, Warren, and I'm excited about our next topic. Our next topic is really cool too. I'm looking forward to talking. We're going to talk about exploring doctor movement as a means to progress in your life. So it's going to be great stuff.
Yeah, look forward to that one soon.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Warren. We'll talk again soon.